Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, if you don't know me. I just started this channel to cover my journey becoming a single mom by choice and going through IVF to accomplish that, as well as getting diagnosed with endometrial cancer and PCOS. So if any of those topics appeal to you at all, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified whenever I upload new videos, which has been pretty regularly this week. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep that up, but definitely at least once a week going forward, I will be uploading new videos. So let's just jump right into the video. I'm talking today about endometrial cancer. So I had never even heard of that before this year. I had no idea what that was. I don't even really know if I knew what endometrial meant. Or what the endometrium was. I was pretty clueless. So I've learned a lot about my body in the last year, which is great. But so basically, to recap the story, if you didn't watch my first video, how I got diagnosed, I finally this year decided to freeze my eggs. So I made an appointment with a reproductive endocrinologist in April. And we did a baseline ultrasound and some blood work just to see where my levels were and how fertile I was. So when we did the ultrasound and got those results back, they found a very small polyp in my uterus. So that is typically not a cause for concern. 99% of the time, polyps are benign and could potentially cause some infertility if left in the uterus. So that is why he decided that that I should have a surgery to remove it. But I really wasn't concerned at all when I found out I had a polyp. So I had the surgery on June 19th, and a couple weeks later, I had an appointment with my RE, and he told me when he was reading the pathology report that it looked like I had some precancerous or cancerous cells, but because that's not his area of expertise, he needed to refer me to an oncologist at that time. So I was a little shocked by that, but for whatever reason, I just kept holding on to the precancerous phrase that he used, and I just was like, oh, it's just precancerous, you know, no big deal. But then the next day I had my appointment with the oncologist, and I'm sitting in the room, and I had my mom and my stepmom with me. They get along, but I really wanted both of them there. Of course, you know, you want your mom there with you, and I'm very close with my stepmom, and she was also a nurse for many, many years. So I thought that it would be really important for her to be there as well to hear what the oncologist said. So when the oncologist walked in, he had like a team of people with him. He had like, I think there were 4 other people that walked in with him, and this is like a tiny room. And I was actually shocked that they even let 2 people come in with me during COVID, but we kind of like finagled the system and they were able to both come in with me. But anyway, so all these people come into this office, and I'm sitting in, like, you know, the chair, and everyone's around me. The oncologist is to my left, and there was a girl on a laptop typing everything that was being said, and there was another, like a nurse with all these papers, and I believe there was someone else too. And so basically I had like all these questions written out that I was prepared to ask, and they were all pretty much based on the fact that this polyp had precancerous cells, because I just couldn't wrap my head around having cancer. So so I started to ask my first question to him. Actually, I remember the first thing he said when he walked in, and he said he was really shocked at my appearance. So he was like, I was expecting you to be to have a very high BMI, and so the fact that I'm thinner, he, like, I guess was not expecting that whatsoever. So that is something that's usually typical of someone that has endometrial cancer, that they're either postmenopausal or overweight. So he just was really shocked that I don't have either of those characteristics. So, but then I started to ask my first question, and I said, how do we determine, I think I was like trying to find out how were we to determine if the cells were precancerous or cancerous. And he stopped me mid-sentence and he looked me right in my eye, and he barely had any sort. I mean, I guess oncologists can't really have many emotions because of what they deal with on a daily basis, and I totally get that, but he was so cold, and he was just like, no, you do have cancer. You have cancer. Like, he just looked at me and was like, you have cancer. And I was pretty numb initially, and I was like, okay, what kind of cancer do I have? And he said, you have grade 2 endometrial cancer. He said what grade 2 means is it's not the best kind of cancer to have, and it's not the worst kind of cancer, it's right in the middle, and that refers to the aggressiveness of it, I believe, or like the likelihood that it will return. So he said, because of this, we recommend that you get a hysterectomy ASAP. And the nurse that was in the room that had all these papers, she like had my hysterectomy already scheduled, like all the paperwork for it, and she was like getting ready to like schedule this, and I'm like, whoa, like I have so many other questions, first of all, and second of all, I still want to have children. Like, isn't there anything I can do to avoid having a hysterectomy? And so basically in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I had this polyp removed and that had cancer in it, but what about how do we know if it's spread at all? So he said, okay, well, what we can do is a DNC where they scrape the lining of your uterus, and we can check to see if the cancer had spread to the lining. And I apologize that I've covered a lot of this in my other video, but I just thought if someone was only interested in the endometrial cancer aspect of this channel, that I wanted this video to be all about that and not about IVF or anything else. So, so we scheduled the DNC, and for like, I think it was a week and a half or 2 weeks later. And we also scheduled an MRI of the pelvis and a CAT scan of the chest and abdomen. And I also scheduled a mammogram just to be safe. Long story short, it's a long story. All of these results came back negative for cancer. So at this point, I thought I was in the clear. I'm like, great, I had cancer in a polyp, it's now gone, I can go about my life. But I guess that's not how it works in the cancer world, which I was obviously very new to, or still am new to. But so I had my follow-up appointment with him via phone, and he said that the tumor board at the Cleveland Clinic met about my case, because it just is very odd that I got this cancer. Which, side note, with all the research that I did, it just seems to me that if you have PCOS, you might be a little bit more predisposed to having endometrial cancer, because your hormones are really out of balance. And one of the top causes, if you Google like what are the causes of endometrial cancer, it's changes in hormones. So I went off the pill in August 2019 and got diagnosed with endometrial cancer in June 2019. I'm sorry, June 2020. So what is that? 6 months, 6, 8, like 7, 8. I don't feel like doing math. I've been working on mortgages all day at work, and my brain is so done. But so less than a year, but yeah, so going off the pill, and then my hormones were all out of whack, and my period was super irregular, and it just makes sense that the lining of your uterus, like when you are having irregular periods and it's not shedding every month normally, that that the polyp, I had an overgrowth of cells that created this polyp. Again, I am not a doctor. Actually, I shouldn't say again, because I don't think I said that yet, but obviously I'm not a doctor, and I do not claim to be an expert on this. I'm just giving you my opinion on the situation and my experience. So, yeah, it just made sense to me that having PCOS is something that could predisposition you to having endometrial cancer. So it didn't seem that weird to me, I guess, but they were very fascinated by it. So anyways, back to that part of the story. So the tumor board met about my case, and they still had to formally recommend to me to have a hysterectomy because my cancer is grade 2. So they felt like it's very likely that it would return. So this was a very devastating phone call to me because after getting all the negative results, I just felt so much better about everything. And then it just kind of put me back in the same place I was before I even found out that I didn't have cancer anywhere else. But I decided what I was gonna do is get a second opinion because I just wasn't willing to accept the fact that I would have to remove my uterus in case my cancer came back, because we were gonna be monitoring regularly. So one of the things he said is if I decided not to have a hysterectomy, we would definitely need to do a DNC every 3 months for a certain period of time, and then we could eventually go to every 6 months and test, the cells in my uterus and see if the cancer comes back. So I'm like, if we're doing this every 3 months, if the cancer did come back, it's not like it could spread that fast. Endometrial cancer is typically a slower spreading cancer, but I know because I had grade 2 that they were afraid that it would just be more aggressive when it came back. But anyways, I ended up getting a second opinion from another oncologist. She again formally recommended the hysterectomy, but she also said if you really don't want to get a hysterectomy, the next option would be to put a progesterone IUD in. But then we also discussed the fact that I wanted to proceed with freezing my eggs. I wanted to at least have the egg retrieval. So I had eggs frozen, and if for some reason the cancer came back and I had to have a hysterectomy, at least I had those eggs. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, I just am ready to have a baby. So I want to get the eggs out and find a sperm donor, create the embryos, and have a baby. I was just ready for that. Because the more research I did online about endometrial cancer, another risk factor is never having had a baby before. So having a baby, and there's actually a study that was done that if you Google, does having a baby prevent endometrial cancer? Try Googling that. The first thing that pops up is a study that was done pretty recently, I believe within the last year or something, showing that even, and of course I don't want to think about this, but even just being pregnant for like a week, like any sort of pregnancy at all, significantly decreases your chance of getting endometrial cancer or having it return or whatever. So being pregnant is just like one of the best things you can do. And it's my lifelong dream to be a mom. So I'm like, this is just the universe like telling me that it's time. I've been contemplating this for so many years, and I'm just like, this wasn't a blessing in disguise, I should say. So yeah, so I finally decided that I was just ready to have a baby, and that would also be a great preventative treatment for my cancer. So when your body is in like a super high progesterone state, progesterone is a medication, either in the IUD or other forms of progesterone are used to treat endometrial cancer. So when you're pregnant, your body is in a super high progesterone state. So that's amazing. Also when you're breastfeeding. So I decided I had the egg retrieval, froze my eggs, and then I did have to have one more DNC showing no cancer 3 months after the initial DNC. So that was October 9th. And it was negative for cancer. So I had my follow-up appointment with the second oncologist that I got a second opinion from. And I just had that 2 days ago, and I was actually pretty shocked at how that went. So it was a televisit, and she was like, okay, Sarah, I'm looking at, your whole situation here. You had this tiny little polyp that had cancer. It didn't spread. It wasn't even in the lining of your uterus, let alone the muscle of your uterus. It was like really confined to a surface layer cells. It was removed on June 19th, And as of October 9th, still no cancer. So that's, what is that, over 4 months that my cancer didn't come back, and that's without being on any sort of treatment. And I had all of those hormones going through my body when I was going through the egg retrieval process. So even with all of that, like, my cancer didn't come back. So she was like, having a baby, just like I said, she said having a baby is the best thing you could do right now to prevent the cancer from coming back. And she said, based on everything that I'm looking at, I would be 100% confident telling you, after you have your baby, just to be safe, put the progesterone IUD in. And she said, I don't see the point in having to put you through DNCs anymore to monitor. She's like, if you're planning on having 1 baby or 2 babies, she's like, at that time, if you still don't, you know, haven't had any weird symptoms or anything, there's no point in continuing to have DNCs. So I am basically, like, I feel like I'm in the clear right now. I mean, my oncologist told me I am, so I am. And I'm gonna proceed with having my baby. And like, I just want to emphasize to you, I mean, I know everybody's cancer is different, and gosh, heaven forbid, like, I would not want to like sit here and tell you don't have a hysterectomy if your doctor says you have to have a hysterectomy because you have endometrial cancer. Your cancer could be more progressed more than mine, or worse than mine, or higher grade than mine, or, you know, higher stage than mine. So I don't want to say that, no, you shouldn't have a hysterectomy if you still want to have kids and your doctor says you should. All I'm saying is that just be an advocate for yourself and follow your gut and intuition, and be well informed and get multiple opinions from, I just feel like if I would have just naively listened to him, I'm gonna probably get emotional just thinking about it. Like, if I would have just listened to him and had a hysterectomy, like, my life's purpose would have never been fulfilled. I know there's other ways to have children, and I probably would have adopted or figured out some way, but I just have always really, really wanted to have my own child biologically, and like give birth and nurse and go through all of that. Like, it's just been something that I've always wanted to do. And I just feel like I'm just called to it. Like, when I'm around children, I am so happy, and like, to have my own child, like, I just can't even imagine like the happiness that I will have. And I know it will be hard. So I know mothers out there will tell me, and they do tell me how hard it is, but I know it will be worth it. So if you have any questions for me whatsoever, please leave a comment below. And if you want more videos like this, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. And I hope you have a great night or a great day wherever you are. And I will see you very soon.